4.1 Financial Assets. Okay. First, let's decide what is the financial sector. Well, the financial sector includes individuals, businesses, and the government. We all, so individuals, businesses, and government, borrow and save. So they need institutions to help, right? So we need people to save our money and say, I wanted to buy a house. Well, I'm going to need to borrow money. All right. So the financial sector, network of institutions that link borrowers and lenders. This includes banks, mutual funds, pension funds, and other financial intermediaries. All right. Assets. We're just defining terms here. Assets, anything tangible or intangible that have value. Okay, the most tangible asset that you have would be the cash because you can have that now. All right, we can consider a car an asset, but I would like to just remind you that usually a car is a depreciating asset because once you drive that new car off the lot, it starts to lose value with most cars anyway. A house could be considered an asset, but that's not very tangible, right? Because in order for you to get that money back from your house, you're going to have to sell that, and it takes time. I can't just have that cash right away. Also, it's important to know that really a house is not an asset until you fully pay off your mortgage. Because when you're paying mortgage, that is a liability and you don't fully own the house. The bank does. And then another asset we have more than this, these are just a few examples, are bonds. And we're going to discuss that in a minute. Essentially, bonds are IOUs from businesses or the government. You buy the bond and they are going to end up paying you that money back plus interest on that. So say a company needs money now and you're going to buy that from them. You are actually going to receive interest on that. All right, which brings us to our next term, interest rate. This is the amount a lender charges borrowers for borrowing money. It's the price of a loan. All right, so when I bought my Honda Civic way back when, the interest rate was pretty low, maybe 2.9%. Well, I had to pay the price of the car eventually, but then I had to pay the interest rate because it's essentially the price of me borrowing the money now to get my car. The last term, interest-bearing assets. Assets that earn interest over time. For example, bonds. Well, I'm not just going to loan a company or government my money without getting something in return for it. So I'm going to be getting that interest. And we'll be talking more about bonds in a moment. Excuse me. It's important to realize that macroeconomics, or at least this class, is not about personal finance. That would be in a different class. That would be in a finance class. Personal finance refers to the way individuals and family budget, save, and spend. So maybe you will hire a financial advisor when you get older. They probably will take a retainer from you, maybe $5,000, but then they'll be with you the rest of your life where they can help you decide, okay, should I invest in this? Should I invest in that? Is this a high risk? Is this a low risk? And they kind of help you weigh out the options. But that is not this class. Remember, and I've taught you well, so don't forget it, that investment is not referring to individual investment. So it's not referring to how much money you have in your individual retirement. It is only going to refer in this class to businesses spending on tools and machinery, businesses to spend to better themselves. If the interest rate is low, businesses will want to get new machines, right? They'll want to maybe buy a new factory, things like that. So business spending will go up. When you do that, or as you know, when this happens, aggregate demand will increase. So low interest rates essentially mean that businesses will want to spend more. When businesses spend more, investment increases, and then therefore aggregate demand increases. So I just want to kind of show you, if interest rates decrease, all right, investment increases. Well, you know that investment is a shifter of aggregate demand. And when investment increases, aggregate demand increases. All right. This next slide, I'm not going to take too long to go over because of my 15-minute YouTube time frame. Essentially here, Clifford's just reminding us that when we're individually trying to invest, that's in quotations, I don't want to use that word in economics. I want to reserve the word investment only for businesses. All right. Next, we have liquidity. This is the ease in which an asset can be converted to the medium of exchange, our money. If you're in America, that would be the dollar, or in the United States. In general, the higher the liquidity, the lower the rate of return. All right, so the higher the liquidity, the lower rate of return. That is just in general, though. So let's look at our most liquid assets. Those are going to be down here. Well, do you have access to your checking account? Yes, you do. So that is a very liquid asset. If I wanted, I could go to the bank tomorrow and take out all of my money and actually have that. So that's very liquid. Think of water, just very runny. Versus, say, if we come up here to, let's do real estate, because we've been talking about that. That's less liquid, all right? So think of something that is less liquid than water, maybe something like honey, all right? It's not as liquid. I'm gonna have to take time to sell this real estate in order to get that money. Yes, real estate is a great asset, but I do not have access to that money on an instant basis, okay? So that is less liquid. So this is just kind of going over things that are very liquid to things that are not as liquid. This is called liquidity. Again, the money that you have in your pocket is very liquid. Obviously, your checking account, your saving account. When you go up here to like mutual funds, say you're investing in certain mutual funds via Edward Jones, okay? You give them a certain amount of money. They decide what mutual funds to put that in. Well, that is, you do not have instant access to that cash. It's going to take some time to get that cash back. Okay, now we go onwards.